Thank you so much for downloading this video on the top 3 mistakes that new podcasters make. My name is Arlena, and I'm the host of the ODAT Chat podcast.
And I am Omar Pinto, the host of the Share podcast. Welcome.
Welcome. So we're going to cover the top 3 mistakes that new podcasters make. So I'm just going to hit you with the 3 biggest mistakes, and then we'll just take a moment to dive into each one of those. So the top 3 mistakes are around how you name your podcast, the message of your podcast, and your audience. So the first mistake is around the name. So Omar and I both named our podcasts based off acronyms, right? So mine is ODAT Chat, and had I had the opportunity to do it all again, if I had taken a class or met somebody like me and Omar in the beginning,
Absolutely.
I would have considered keywords. And keywords are the terms that you would enter into Google when you're searching for something. And that's considered SEO, search engine optimization. So our recommendation is that you use keywords in the name of your podcast. Wouldn't you agree, Omar?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I use an acronym to name my podcast. And if I would have thought it through, I would have done the same thing. I would have done a search for whatever podcast it is that's in my space. So for example, I'm in the recovery space. Arlena's also in the recovery space.
Yes, I am.
So I would have picked words like sober, recovery, clean and sober, and then seen what other podcasts were out there that had a similar name, similar topic, similar message. So yes, I would have definitely done a little bit more research, because when someone is searching for your podcast, they're going to search based on their needs.
Based on their needs, right? So you want to be sure that you're solving a problem that people are looking for. And if you can use the keywords in the name of your podcast, that will help people find you that much faster.
Exactly.
Okay, so the second one is regarding your message. So once you decide your core message, you really need to stay true to that message over the long haul. So our recommendation is that you pick a topic and a core message that you're really passionate about, so that you can continue podcasting over the long haul.
Obviously, it's the number 2. Your messaging is super important. What is the message I want to get out to my audience? And I must stay true to that message for the long haul. So first I have to stay true to my name, and then I have to stay true to my message. And my story behind that was I joined the podcast world as a recovery podcast and started to dilute my message by moving into the personal development space, just because it's health and wellness. So it's very similar.
Yeah.
And I started to lose listenership.
Started to lose some of your core audience.
Because what I came in for, when I came into the podcast space, I came in with one solid message: recovery. So it's super important to stay very, very focused on what your message is and not to deviate.
So that brings us to our third mistake, which is around your audience. So it's tempting as a podcaster, because listen, those of us that are podcasters, we're talkers, right? And so it's tempting to interject yourself into the interview with your guests. And it's not to say that you don't share a little bit about, your perspective, but you really want to keep the focus on your guests. You want to make your guests look good. You want to highlight what they have to say, and really keep that focus on solving the problem for your audience. Never forget that the whole reason that your audience tuned into you is because you're going to be talking about your core message to solve a certain problem. So I'm sure you've had some similar experiences with that.
Absolutely. So what's really important for me, and this is something that I've learned after years of podcasting now, once you have a name that's catchy and searchable, and once you have a message that you can be true to, and it's one message, then your focus, and this is the key, is your listenerships. That you are focusing on what your listeners are going to hear. If your number one priority is to make sure that the message you give them is valuable and is going to keep them listening, that's where your focus should be. Some of the mistakes that I have made as a podcaster is started focusing too much on me, started focusing
Right.
too much on what's important to me and what's my
Right.
message.
Yeah.
And
Right. You want to look good. You want to be sure that you're your best at your best, but it's easy to slowly shift the focus from your audience to self. So we all do it, but that's why we're bringing it up here, is because we want to help you avoid making that mistake and really find that balance between, sharing a little bit so that you're engaged in the conversation and then making it about you.
yeah, so when you're interviewing a guest, think to yourself, what problem am I solving for my listeners?
Right.
What inspirational information are my listeners getting? What's going to inspire them to take action? What's
Right.
going to inspire them to stay subscribed?
Or
I
share
s-
it.
or
Yeah.
share when
Yeah.
your primary concern is what you're delivering to your audience, your listenership, that is how your listenership is ultimately going to grow.
Absolutely. Great. Well, listen, those are the three mistakes that new podcasters make. It's around name, message, and audience. Thank you so much for joining us today. You can find Omar and I on podfast.co for more information. We look forward to seeing you again real soon.
So if you're ready to launch your very first podcast, click on the link below and learn how you can launch your very first podcast in 30 days or less.
That's right. We look forward to seeing you on the other side. Bam.
Okay, that's it.